how do you know if you are ready for the next size? First step is either come into our shop or definitely talk to your private teacher. Every teacher is going to have their own specific requirements. So for instance, when we hold the violin, we often test people by stretching their arm out, right? So you can see that my wrist is well beyond into the scroll. So a lot of times when we're looking, okay, does the scroll go to the end of the wrist? Is it below the wrist? Is it in the palm? And every teacher is going to have their own specific requirements, what they want to see in your child or in your students. So I would say definitely come in, but at the same time talk with your teacher, because we want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and we're doing something that's going to help your child. Another thing we look for also is the length of your fingers. Some people have very, very thin, short fingers. Some people have really long, thick fingers. And that also can affect the judgment call, especially if someone is kind of on the cusp of going one way or the other. Another thing, especially with growing children, is going to be the length of the forearm and the upper arm. So some childs might have really long forearm, but then they have a really tiny upper arm, and that's going to affect how they're reaching out to get to the violin. So once again, people might check to see how long is your arm, but that doesn't really check to see how the arm is actually bending. And that's why it's so important to have a professional look to see, because we want to make sure that you're not potentially causing any kind of damage. Cellos are a whole nother story. When sizing a student for a cello, we're looking not only at the length of their legs, but also their height from their hip up. So for instance, if a child maybe is very tall, but their torso height is very short, what's going to happen is the cellos will be very high on them, and that's going to make it really hard to play. Sometimes you might have someone that proportionally, this cello size looks really good, but if their arms are short, then when they go out, they can't really reach the A string very well. So to demonstrate what I mean, let's say we're at the tip of our bow on the A string. If they're way up here because their arm is short, that's also going to be an issue. So usually it's a combination of their overall height, their height from their torso, and then also their arm length to figure out what size is going to be most appropriate for that child.